So, Mr. Edmund, why are you interested in working for Lockheed Martin?
In so many words, Lockheed Martin is on a mission, and so am I. But allow me to expand on that. I can understand the growing demand for innovative technologies and a sustainment priority within the global security and aerospace industry as we move forward into the future. Seeing this and the precision that it takes to stay in business only leads me to believe that the finest caliber prosper. Setting high goals and standards for myself and my colleagues is a staple in my scheme of maneuver. I'm a firm believer that excellence and diligence go hand in hand with success. As a former active duty Marine, I'm quite familiar to austere conditions to accomplish objectives, large and small, professionally and personally. I'm no stranger to shouldering the weight of critical objectives that need to be accomplished under stringent timelines either. And this recurring element has strengthened my critical and analytical thinking in administrative and operational tasks, from everything from government, military, private sector to my personal life. With my security clearance background with the Department of Defense and the Department of State, I've been entrusted with unique information and responsibilities to not only secure national defense and diplomatic relations, but organizational integrity. Adapting to an ever-changing environment both home and abroad has become a defining trait of mine which has yet to hinder me in achieving what I've set my eyes on. Having developed engaging, respectful bonds with colleagues in every job that I've taken on has always benefited my work and provided a secure environment for potential growth. It allowed me to interact with a diverse range of talented individuals that perform a unique function in the wider scheme of operations, whether they directly or indirectly affected the mission. In 2014 and 2016, I worked in close proximity with the F-16 project at Balad Air Base, Iraq, and I became enthralled by the scope and magnitude of what was possible in the support of such an industry. The obstacles and rewards that I witnessed from my very, very low vantage point outside of the operation attracted me. I wanted to be a part of that world. I didn't see it as glamorous, but challenging and necessary in many theaters across the globe. I believe that I can carry the ability over to the supply chain within the organization to support new and ongoing projects. Much familiar with the F-16 project in Iraq. I firmly believe that positively connecting with the right people not only stimulates progress, but emboldens faith in the performance of our endeavors for clients and employees. As an analyst, I believe that my diligent nature will positively influence the ability to maximize efficiency time and time again. In more ways than one, Lockheed Martin resonates with me. Yes, it is a new industry for me, but I'm not backing down from a challenge. I never have, and I don't think I'm going to anytime soon. Having said that, I would cherish the opportunity to nurture a faithful and lasting professional relationship.
So tell me, why have you chosen supply chain analyst as a career choice?
With having a firm grip on reality, I know that we all had to start somewhere. As an analyst within the supply chain, I believe I will be exposed to the basic fundamentals to what makes Lockheed Martin the leader in aerospace and global security industry. When considering whether or not this position would be up my alley, I reflected back on my previous experiences, and in all honesty, it was a no-brainer. When I was fulfilling my active duty obligations with the Marines, I was in charge of organizing and distributing my platoon's extensive array of sensitive equipment. To be clear, I was not a pencil pusher, but I was quite proficient in both tactical and administrative tasks. So it fell to me. Even as a junior enlisted individual, I was interacting with senior level non-commissioned officers to source our essential mission requirements. From coordinating with proper channels to secure transportation, both ground and air, to connecting our long-range and satellite communications equipment, these were only a few of the required tasks that I repeatedly performed in preparation for our mission step-off. When the tempo began to escalate, I was brought in to brief key personnel on our platoon's processes and procedures to support ongoing combat operations. conveying our mission objectives and purposes in the overall scheme of coalition forces to officers of multiple branches and government agents was daunting at first, but it only sparked what would become a wildfire of momentum. The desire to identify and analyze the mechanics behind the comprehensive scheme was captivating. Every step of the way, attention to detail was paramount for mission success. The secondary focus? Positive interdepartment relations. Without these traits and interests, I would not have been successful in my duties. When considering the performances were both conducted in domestic and foreign austere environments, I view that my approach to the responsibilities have been both sound and effective. By understanding my position from the ground up, I was able to prove to myself and to my superiors that I rightfully belonged as a member of the team. Starting as an analyst, I know that my ability to interact with personnel can positively contribute to future growth with clients and colleagues. To bring this home, this position will provide me with a solid foundation to propel from to accomplish tasks, projects, and programs beyond expectations.
Okay, Mr. Redmond, what are your short and long-term career goals?
In the short term, I anticipate that I will be solving complex challenges as a member within a dynamic team. By being surrounded with subject matter experts, I perceive myself standing out with the promise of potential. When presented, I will embrace the opportunity to display my innate ability and lead a team to fulfill organization and client needs. Reflecting back on my previous positions, this has been a reoccurring theme for me. Allow me to elaborate. I was once hired as a team leader for a quick reaction force team that consisted of American, South African, and Iraqi members. Our jobs were to actively secure sensitive locations, personnel, and assets to support the Iraqi Air Force in becoming self-reliant and efficient in their national defense against radical aggressors. Despite our cultural differences, under my leadership, we conducted ourselves admirably and were recognized for it on multiple occasions by department and organizational staff, an accomplishment I still hold dear to my heart. Before long, I was further charged with extending my reach to other teams under our umbrella. I shouldered greater responsibilities to bind and influence a more effective way of operating in our area of responsibility. I excelled by establishing the communications network, airfield security procedures, and conducting base-wide training exercises by being a primary point of contact for operations command and control. Surpassing my initial job description by actively formulating and executing higher-level tasks, I began to find myself coordinating face-to-face with senior echelon members inside and outside the organization. With Lockheed Martin, I do not doubt that a similar fate is in store. Within 4 to 6 years, I know that I will have performed above and beyond that of a supply chain analyst. I can definitely see my name next to a position where I am leading multiple teams of qualified individuals to deliver innovative solutions for our clients. Within that goal, I plan on establishing strong professional bonds with subordinates and superiors, ensuring that all have a true sense of belonging and purpose. Be it aeronautics, weapon systems, or risk management and security development, my goal is to have a lasting seat at the table.
Mr. Redmond, tell me about how you accomplished a goal that was personally challenging. What helped you succeed?
Allow me to start you off with a little context on the environment that I was in. After my time in art school at both Dallas and Pittsburgh, I was accepted to become part of the diplomatic security detachment for the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, Iraq. The world that I was a part of now was like the major league to military and law enforcement special unit veterans. Within this community, you have a level of trust with a small group of individuals to primarily protect the lives and property of priority assets. And our jobs were not easy when it was go time. The austere environment of Iraq was always tense and demanding, but we formed strong professional bonds that would allow a level of humor and familiarity not commonly found in corporate boardrooms. I had arrived early to our field office in a compound inside of Baghdad proper. Minutes later, the rest of my team showed up, and when they noticed that our boss, the deputy regional manager of the greater Baghdad operations, was late, they said that they were going to go to the chow hall and go get some coffee. About 5 minutes later, after they left, he showed up. I was standing outside of the office door by the time he got out of his vehicle and began walking towards me. I slightly chuckled and jokingly said, "Did you get lost or something?" And he looked at me and sternly responded, "Since when do I answer to you?" I replied back, "You don't. All I did was ask you a question." And again, he sternly replied with, "Since when do I answer to you?" That event ended after that, and the day went on to be relatively routine. Around lunchtime, we were all available, so we had a team meeting. I was instructed to stick around after the meeting concluded. From that point, he informed me that I was almost fired this morning, but it was by the grace of the project manager's wisdom that I remained employed. We talked for about an hour and a half on our points of view of the matter, and by the end of the conversation, there was nothing left to be said. We settled that matter quite fairly in my book. A month later, he invited me to a personal meeting. From there, he informed me that he was leaving the project for good and needed a replacement. It was the conversation with the project manager that made him open his eyes towards me. Before our chat after the meeting, our boss had asked him, despite what he didn't like about our last encounter, what was my work ethic? And it really made him think, he said. "I'll spare you the trumpet solo, but what I heard was quite flattering to say the least, and it was a little unexpected." Ultimately, he wanted me to be promoted to take his position. I asked for a day to consider the option, but I already knew that I was going to accept the offer. After a week-long crash course on the subject matter required, I shouldered the biggest responsibility I had ever taken on in my life. I was now the government point of contact for our operations throughout the Baghdad area. If our organization was running an operation that would affect my tasks, I was either orchestrating it or knew firsthand knowledge of it. Every day after that, until our contract was over, I wanted to perform to the best of my ability in a shaky world. With a mixed team of 5 Americans and British members, we worked with no more than 20 qualified contracted Iraqi locals at a time. We had a total of 60 under our employment. It may not seem like much, but we traveled all around Baghdad from sunup to sundown, interacting with many Iraqi army and Iraqi police checkpoints and local individuals. They were not always easy to deal with, and it would not have been strange to be arrested and jailed if we had slipped up, even in the slightest. We were loaded down with guns, ammunition, food, money, and a lot of paperwork, with multiple copies in different dialects supporting why we had it all. When we had to transport our sensitive equipment and weapons and ammo to a compound within the city once our contract was done, I had a tricky task on my hand. Our contract first began with our teams having more individuals and more freedoms within Iraqi law. But by this point, our freedoms had essentially dwindled to very touchy situations. As we got word of our contract ending, we were instructed to transport all of our weapons and equipment to our compound within a very small window of time, which ended up being like 2 weeks. When I took up the position of Deputy Regional Manager, I had fine-tuned our weapon and asset organization and structure, and believe me, I was thankful that I did. Under my supervision, over $5 million in assets and cash, not including sensitive information, were safely delivered within 1 week's time. All the paperwork generation, loading, unloading, transportation, and cataloging were all done with my assistance. I oversaw the transportation firsthand every step of the way. This was all conducted on top of our normal daily tempo, which only added more stress and time to long and stressful days. It was falling back on my confidence in myself and being fortunate to work with talented and trustworthy individuals that saw me to the end. any moment, for a multitude of reasons, our operations could have gone south very fast. I was later told by some of our project staff how impressed they were with how I conducted myself after taking the position. I would say that it would have to be one of the biggest and most unique challenges of my professional career. And with Lockheed Martin, I overcame what I saw, and I do not doubt that there are going to be more unique obstacles ahead.
Now, please tell me why you are the best candidate for this job.
When I set my eyes on a task, I rarely fall short of it. Now, that might sound a bit cliche, but I have a fairly extensive history of accomplishing goals both personally and professionally. And with Lockheed Martin, I want their goals to be mine. I'm fully aware that no matter where I go professionally, I have much to learn. I can also say with a great deal of confidence that I bring valuable talent and experience to any organization or team that I find myself within. Utilizing these attributes and with a constant hunger for knowledge and improvement, I want to be a part of something special. The name Lockheed Martin has been categorized with the cream of the crop within their industry since I first heard of it. No, I have not been in the aerospace and weapons development industry, nor am I a rocket scientist, but I do have the drive to help those subject matter experts perform to their talents in creating world-class innovations for clients. I want to take my social skills and bind together professional relationships within and outside the company to maintain a step ahead of our competitors. I have the multi-agency secret and top secret clearance history, which in and of itself stands for something. It's not easy to get. I'm no stranger to being a follower, but I do not shy away from leading from the front, which in all honesty is actually where I thrive if given the opportunity. From ensuring team members and subordinates are operating at the best of their ability, to seeing that each sector I may branch from gets the quality materials they need to develop groundbreaking technologies, I want to continue developing my skills within this company. Lockheed Martin has an ever-growing bright future ahead of itself. Despite what the world brings at home or abroad, this company will continue to have a strong presence, whether obvious or not. I truly do believe this company needs honest, hardworking, innovative individuals who possess the drive to go above and beyond that which is required of them to ensure all objectives are completed to fulfill company goals and client needs. I have presented a number of examples that illustrate how my ability to effectively communicate with others and my honest efforts have launched me forward to succeed again and again. Within the supply chain as an analyst, I want to perform to a standard above what is required, to establish and accomplish tasks more effectively than is required, and to make sure that each and every supervisor above me along the way says, I'm glad we hired that guy.